The night in Los Angeles didn't feel like night at all. It was the kind of hour that pretended to sleep, streetlights humming, cars whispering down Melrose, a thin mist making halos around everything that glowed. In a small rehearsal studio on Sunset, the lights never went off. They buzzed like restless insects, their flicker tattooing the floor in trembling gold. Michael stood in the middle of that light, head tilted, one hand gripping his fedora by the brim. Sweat slid down his jaw, caught the reflection of the mirrors, and vanished into the collar of his white shirt. His shoes scuffed the wooden floor with the soft rhythm of a heartbeat. He had been there for hours. He had lost count of how many. There were no brothers tonight, no laughter, no harmonies echoing in the hall. Just him, the youngest Jackson, the boy whose voice had already changed but whose soul hadn't decided whether to follow. 18. Legally a man. Emotionally, somewhere between memory and myth. The tape deck clicked. The bass line returned. He moved. Not to impress. Not to perform. But to find something. The kind of movement that wasn't choreographed, that didn't care about applause. He glided, turned, froze, listening to the air as if it could answer questions words couldn't. And in that stillness, something inside him whispered. Not in words, in rhythm. He chased it. But it was slippery, an echo of an echo. Every time he thought he caught it, it shifted. He leaned closer to the mirror, breath fogging the glass. His reflection looked back, tired but alive, eyes burning with a quiet hunger. He whispered to himself, barely audible. Who are you when the music stops? The mirror, as usual, didn't answer. He laughed, low, dry, almost bitter. Right. You only speak in moves. The door creaked open. Jackie leaned in, holding a paper cup of cold coffee. You still here, Mike? It's past midnight. Michael nodded. Almost done. Jackie chuckled. You've been almost done for 3 hours. Go home, man. Get some sleep. You can't outwork your own shadow. Michael didn't look up. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Jackie hesitated, the weight of the answer hanging in the air. Then he set the cup down, gave Michael's shoulder a soft squeeze, and left. Silence returned. Michael's heartbeat filled it. He pressed play again, the same loop. A bass, a clap, a ghost of melody. Over and over until time blurred. The mirror distorted his shape, made his legs longer, his face sharper, his eyes deeper. The studio light flickered. And for a split second, the boy in the mirror moved after him, not with him. Michael froze. The reflection stilled too. He tilted his head. The reflection didn't. It was subtle, so small that a rational man would have called it imagination. But Michael wasn't rational tonight. He was exhausted, open, and hungry enough to believe the impossible. He leaned closer. Don't play with me, he whispered. The mirror boy smiled. Michael stepped back. His heel hit the wall. His pulse tripped. He blinked hard, shook his head, and when he looked again, the smile was gone. Sleep, he muttered. I just need sleep. But he didn't leave. He moved again. Slowly this time. Every motion deliberate, measured. He told himself it was just his brain, the light, fatigue. Still, he couldn't shake the sense that someone, something, was watching him from the other side of the glass. Morning came like a lie. The sun didn't rise so much as creep, reluctant, half-hearted. Michael walked out of the studio squinting, hat pulled low, body buzzing from caffeine and adrenaline. The city was already awake, but he wasn't. A group of kids on the corner recognized him and started whispering. He smiled politely, waved once, and kept walking. Fame was a coat he couldn't take off anymore, even when it felt too heavy for his shoulders. Back at home, his mother was humming in the kitchen. Catherine turned when he entered, her eyes immediately scanning his face. You didn't sleep again, did you? I did, he lied. She didn't buy it. Michael. I had to finish something. Baby, you can't live in that studio. You'll turn into one of those lights, all buzz, no warmth. He smiled faintly. Maybe that's how you shine. She frowned but didn't push. Instead, she touched his cheek the way only a mother could, with love that saw through everything. Promise me one thing. What? When the world starts shouting your name, don't forget to listen for God's whisper. That's the one that saves you. He nodded. I'll try. She smiled. Don't try. Do. That night, he returned to the studio. Because of course he did. This time he brought a notebook. Not for lyrics, for thoughts. Words that didn't rhyme, feelings that didn't fit into songs yet. He wrote in loops and fragments. I think my reflection knows something I don't. Sometimes I move to remember what silence feels like. When the music stops, what's left is me. But I don't know if I like him yet. He stopped writing when the pen began to shake in his hand. The hum of the lights filled the quiet again, and for the first time, it didn't comfort him. He pressed play. No track this time, just a metronome. Click, click, click. He moved to nothing but time. Feet gliding, breath counting. The rhythm became breath, the breath became motion. It was meditation disguised as dance. The mirror reflected his devotion, but again, always, there was the lag. That half-second delay that shouldn't exist. He turned his back to it, eyes closed, moving purely by instinct now. The clicks slowed. His breathing slowed. The world outside ceased to matter. Only pulse. Only movement. Only him. And then, silence. The metronome stopped. He opened his eyes. In the mirror, he was still moving. The reflection froze mid-motion, one hand extended like it had something to say. Michael's skin prickled. Stop it, he whispered. The reflection didn't. It held the pose for a beat too long, then slowly lowered its arm, not mirroring him, but guiding him. Like a teacher showing a student how to finish the lesson. Michael's breath came sharp. He stepped forward until the glass was an inch from his nose. Who are you? The boy in the mirror tilted his head. Michael tilted his the other way. They didn't match. It was like looking into a future that had already decided something he hadn't. He stumbled back, grabbed his bag, and fled the room. Outside, the city was still awake, laughing, moving, shining. He walked for blocks before realizing he was crying. Not from fear, but from confusion. From the unbearable weight of trying to be someone everyone already believed you were. He ended up at a diner, one of those chrome places that never closed. The waitress didn't recognize him, which was a small miracle. She poured him coffee without asking and said, "You look like a man fighting a ghost." He smiled weakly. Something like that. "You'll lose," she said simply, walking away. He stared at the black liquid in his cup and saw his own reflection trembling in it, small, upside down, and broken by ripples. He whispered to the glass, "Then I guess I better learn how to haunt back." Daylight in Los Angeles was never gentle. It came crashing through the blinds like a promise you didn't make but still had to keep. Michael sat at the edge of his bed, elbows on knees, staring at the call sheet in his hands. Another meeting. Another creative direction discussion. Another day pretending that control was the same thing as freedom. He pressed the paper flat, as if the act alone could iron out the anxiety in his chest. From the next room came the sound of Jermaine practicing scales. Always perfect. Always polished. Michael envied him sometimes, not for his talent, but for his certainty. Jermaine never seemed haunted by questions like "Who am I becoming?" He just was. Michael, though, he had started to feel like two people stitched together, one built from expectation, the other from fire. He grabbed his hat and left. The record label's office was perched high above the city, all glass and shine, a cage made of transparency. Neil, the A&amp, a man with perfect teeth and no patience, was already waiting. "There's my star," he said, clapping his hands together. "We've got some serious momentum after that showcase. The press wants more. The world wants more. And we are gonna give it to them." Michael smiled politely. "That's good." "That's great," Neil corrected. "But listen, we are shifting the image. Less mystery, more marketable. Brighter clothes, bigger smile, you know." Michael looked out the window. "What about the sound?" Neil blinked. "The sound?" "The music," Michael said softly. "What about that?" "Oh, that. Don't worry, we've got producers lined up. You'll sound amazing. But visuals, that's where we win hearts. People don't remember what they hear first, they remember what they see." Michael's jaw tightened. "I thought they were supposed to feel it." Neil laughed, misreading the edge in his voice. "Don't overthink it, kid. You're the product. Let us do the packaging." The word product hit him like a slap. When the meeting ended, Michael didn't take the elevator. He took the stairs, 32 floors down, just to feel something real under his feet. Each step echoed louder than the last, a metronome counting out frustration. By the time he reached the lobby, he was sweating. Outside, the city was blinding. Cameras flashed. Someone shouted his name. He smiled automatically, the reflex of someone who'd learned to perform survival. But that night, the smile cracked. The studio waited. Same warped mirror. Same hum of lights. He didn't turn them on this time. He wanted darkness, not absence, but truth. He started to dance without music, each movement sharper, hungrier. He wanted to sweat out everything fake. Every note he hadn't chosen, every smile he hadn't meant. The rhythm came from inside, not the speakers, a pulse that felt alive, almost human. When he looked into the mirror again, he saw both versions of himself, the boy they sold, and the man he was still trying to find. The reflection seemed to breathe. He whispered, "You're not real." The reflection smirked, or maybe the light bent wrong. He moved closer, breath quickening. "You don't get to decide who I am." But the reflection moved too, lips barely parting, as if forming words. Michael couldn't hear them, but he understood them. "Then why are you afraid of me?" He stumbled back. His hand brushed the boombox. The button clicked. Music exploded. Bass, drums, fury. He let it take him. He danced until the room blurred, until his lungs burned, until exhaustion became clarity. Every spin, every lock, every breath was rebellion. Not against people, against puppetry, against expectation. And somewhere between a glide and a fall, he saw it, not in the mirror, but behind it. A faint glow. Like there was more world beyond the glass, waiting. He reached toward it, and for a moment, the surface shimmered. Then, nothing. He collapsed to his knees, panting, forehead pressed to the floor. The next morning, Catherine found him asleep in the studio chair, head resting against the mirror. She sighed. "Michael, baby, this isn't living." He opened one eye. "It's creating. It's destroying," she said gently. "And I don't like what it's doing to you." He looked at her reflection in the glass, soft, worried, human. "Do you think I'm losing myself?" She hesitated. "I think you're trying too hard to find yourself in other people's eyes." He nodded, but didn't agree. He couldn't. Because somewhere deep down, he knew, the reflection wasn't other people. It was him, just further ahead. And if that was true, then he wasn't losing himself. He was catching up. The following week, the label arranged another shoot. Bigger this time, full production, stylists, lights. Neil hovered like a proud puppeteer. "Remember," he said, "fun, vibrant, clean energy. The new Michael." The photographer lifted his camera. "All right, Michael, Give me that $1,000,000 smile. Michael lifted his chin. The lights flashed. But his smile felt like a wound. Between shots, he caught his reflection in the camera lens, and for half a second, it wasn't him. The face looking back was older, colder. The eyes burned, but not from exhaustion. From understanding. He blinked, and it was gone. "Let's take 5, the photographer said. Michael walked to the corner, sat down, and pulled out his notebook. He started to write, words, not lyrics. If I can't choose who I am, then what's the point of being chosen by the world? That night, he didn't go home. He drove, no destination, just road. The city blurred past, neon bleeding into shadow. At a red light, he saw a kid dancing on the sidewalk, headphones in, lost in his own rhythm, no audience. Just joy. Michael smiled. The kid didn't even notice him. And for the first time in weeks, that felt good. He pulled over, watched quietly, unseen. The boy's movements were raw, unpolished, messy, honest. Michael whispered, "Don't lose that." The light turned green. He didn't move. He stayed until the kid disappeared down the street, swallowed by night. Then he turned the car around and headed back to the studio. It was 3 a.m. when he arrived. The mirror waited, as always. He didn't turn on the lights. He didn't press play. He stood before the glass and said, "I'm not afraid of you." The reflection didn't move. "I'm not your shadow," he continued. "You're mine." Then, faintly, the reflection smiled. Not mockery this time. Agreement. Michael stepped closer. "If you're the future, then I'm the start. We need each other." The reflection nodded. And for the first time, they moved in perfect sync. Not mirror and man, one being. Every motion was flawless, fluid, free. The dance wasn't performance anymore. It was prayer. When it ended, he stood breathless, trembling, tears running unchecked. He whispered to the empty room, "Now I know." The reflection smiled again, proud, calm, infinite. Then the glass cracked. Just once. A single, thin line. Michael exhaled. "Thank you." The crack in the mirror grew overnight. By morning, it split the reflection cleanly down the middle, one half calm, one half fierce. Michael didn't fix it. He couldn't. It felt sacred now, like an open wound that needed to stay visible to heal. He stood before it, hands trembling, eyes tracing the fracture line. "I didn't mean to break you," he whispered. The reflection didn't answer. It didn't need to. Days bled into each other. Rehearsals, interviews, meetings. Every face wanted something from him, a soundbite, a smile, a promise of perfection. The world was beginning to circle closer, whispering superstar, genius, phenomenon. But every time he heard it, something inside him shrank. He started writing again. Not songs, but confessions. Notes that no one would read. They loved the voice, not the silence. They loved the light, not the heat it costs to make it. Maybe that's what fame is, a reflection that eats the person who made it. He filled entire pages, sometimes shaking, sometimes laughing. Art had become his only language for honesty. One night, after a long recording session, he wandered to the old rehearsal studio again. Dust hung in the air like ghosts of music long finished. The cracked mirror waited. He stood before it, breathing slow, the room smelling faintly of varnish and memory. Outside, a storm was building, thunder rolling low and far away. He touched the glass where the crack split his reflection. The line felt smooth beneath his fingers, but the memory of breaking it vibrated in his bones. "You again," he said softly. "I thought I outgrew you." The reflection blinked, late, like it was thinking. Then, it smiled. Not eerie, not cruel. Warm. Human. Michael frowned. "What do you want from me?" The reflection's lips moved without sound. He leaned closer, straining to read them. Remember why you began. He froze. The storm cracked open outside, lightning cutting through the skylight. For a moment, the mirror blazed white, and both halves of the reflection fused into one. And there he was, not the child, not the brand, not the shadow. Just Michael. No mask. No perfection. Just truth. He stumbled back, breathless. You're me. The reflection nodded. But I'm not you yet. It smiled. Then show me, he whispered. He turned on the speakers. No track, just a faint hum, like the earth breathing. He moved. Slow at first, like remembering an old prayer. Then faster. Each step built from pain, each turn carved from hunger. He was dancing not to entertain, but to exorcise. Every ghost of expectation, every should, every must, every perfect, shattered with each strike of his foot against the floor. The reflection danced too, not in sync, but alongside. Two flames feeding each other. Thunder shook the windows. Rain began to streak down the glass, warping their faces into one. He laughed, breathless, alive, free. Hours passed like seconds. When it was over, he stood still, body trembling, chest heaving. The storm outside began to fade, and dawn pressed pale fingers against the window. He looked at the mirror one last time. The crack had vanished. The reflection smiled, not as separate, but as self. He whispered, "Now I know who you are." The reflection mouthed back, "Say it." Michael's throat tightened. "You're not my future. No. You're my truth." And just like that, the glass fogged, once, softly, as if exhaling. When it cleared, the mirror was empty. Only Michael stood there now. He sat on the floor, the room silent except for his breathing. The exhaustion was deep, but it wasn't despair. It was peace. From his pocket, he pulled out the small notebook, flipping through the pages, scribbles, notes, fear. He tore out every page and laid them flat on the floor, arranging them like puzzle pieces. They made no sense, but together, they sounded like something. He picked up a pen and began to write again. Not words this time. Music. A rhythm, born of storm and silence. Something entirely his. He didn't know what it would become. A song, a performance, maybe nothing. But it was the first thing in a long time that felt real. Later, when the sun fully rose, he left the studio and stepped into the quiet streets. The city was washed clean, newborn. He walked without disguise, hat off, curls wet, eyes wide. A stranger passed him, double-taked, then whispered, "Are you?" Michael smiled. "Not yet." The stranger blinked, confused, and moved on. He looked down at his reflection in a puddle. This time, it smiled with him. He whispered, "Now we're even." Weeks later, the music he wrote that morning turned into something legendary, though he didn't know it then. It carried the pulse of everything he'd learned: pain, beauty, defiance, forgiveness. When he performed it for the first time, the crowd roared, not because of the fame, but because they felt it. He closed his eyes mid-song, lifted his hand, and for the briefest second, thought he saw the reflection again, smiling from the edge of the stage lights. He didn't flinch. He just smiled back.